All right. Good morning, everybody. I was watching the Phillies Padres game the other night, and it got me thinking. I'm a Phillies fan, and Trey Turner is out on paternity leave, completely fine, and Rob Thompson, who I think is just the crazily overrated manager, decides to bat Nick Castellanos second, who promptly grounds into three double plays on the first four pitches that he sees. But it got me thinking about lineups. I know it's something that everyone who plays Stratomatic thinks about. What's the best lineup? And there's a lot of rhetoric. They also, during the game, had a big conversation about Kyle Schwarber and being a leadoff hitter. It got me thinking about the difference between the sabermetrics approach to lineups versus the traditional approach to lineups, and kind of those considerations and transferability to the Stratomatic world. And it really comes down to, mostly the number two hole hitter, which is the biggest difference, I think. So this video, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the sabermetric approach, lineup approach versus traditional, just as a kind of an overview that I'm sure you guys are all familiar with anyway. But then talk about the number two hole hitter and maybe some dudes that I think are natural number two hole hitter kind of guys based on how I approach it, and some guys that maybe are duds in that number two hole spot. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, the traditional approach, you'll see the number two hole hitter is all about back control, right? It's a guy that doesn't hit into double plays, just needs to make consistent contact, primarily trying to move that base runner along, either from first to second or second to third, and let the big boys take the plate. Of course, the current sabermetrics approach is your best hitter is batting second, right? Very high on base, best overall batter on the team, consistent, balanced. This is the judges, the Trouts hitting number two. All right, for the traditional number two hole hitters, we'll start with Mark Canha. Zero double play chances against righties or lefties, so he keeps out of the double play. Not great that his bunting's a D and hit and run is a C, but he's got those hit by pitches, and his on base is 47 chances against righties and 39.4 against lefties, which is awesome. So good guy, keeps out of double play. He's got a good, not great range, but E0s in the outfield, +1 arm. So pretty good if you're going to have him to stick him in the two hole hitter. It keeps out of the double play and can move those runners along. All right, my man Taylor Ward, again, wish his glove was a little bit better. He's not terrible in the outfield, but double play chances for lefties and righties, so he keeps out of the double play. Again, wish he was a little bit better hit and run or bunter, but he's got punch, which really helps, so you can get that two-run homer. He's also got the walk and the singles there, so pretty good if you're going to bat him. I like him in the two-hole, especially because his extra pop against righties. All right, love me some Gavin Lux. This guy, again, double play chances, 2 against lefties and righties. Wish he was a little bit better with the bat as far as hit and run goes. But, man, gets on base, 41 chances against righties, 38 against lefties. Doesn't have really the total bases that you're looking for. But in the two-hole, I'm okay with not having those total bases. I'm looking for keeping out of the double play more. So Gavin Lux, again, if you're going to have him, he's a 3-16 at second, which most people are going to play him at. Two-hole is not a bad spot for him. All right, Luis Ariz. I like to call him Harry Ass because I can't pronounce his last name. He's a real good one. He's got a hit and run of a B, especially against right-handers. His double play chances, as you can see, are 6, really, really pretty low. He's a left-handed bat, which I like in that two-hole. Holding the guys on, it'll open up that ground ball shortstop X for you. Does a lot of really good things. And worst case, they bring in a lefty against them, and you can hit and run with the guy on first base because you got that speedster, so that hit and run B becomes an A. So you've got a little defense in case they go to the lefty against them. So pretty good two-hole hitter, I think. If I have him, that's where I slot him at. All right, Adley Rutschman. A lot to like about this guy. I think he's going a little too high in drafts, but he's switch hitter, hit and run of a B. His double play chances are 3 against righties and lefties, and he's got some punch, and he's got a great glove, 1, -2 arm at catcher. So a lot to like about him. Some guys I've seen like to bat him third. Again, I like him in the two hole. He can move the runners along. He keeps out of the double play, and he's got a little bit of punch in his bat. So if I have him, and I've had him before, I think two holes a natural fit. All right, a little bonus for you. A little Cesar Hernandez. This guy is on nobody's radar. I like him. He's 3, range isn't great, but E5 at second. He's an A bunter. He's a star 16 as a, so he's got a little bit of wheels. Double plays a little higher than you would want for a number 2 hole hitter at 12 and 11. But I mean, I bunt him all the time if he's there, depending on what my model for my team is. And I love the guy. You can get him so dirt cheap. I mean, most drafts don't even draft him. So anyhow, he's a guy that I've had before, and when I have him, and if he's in the lineup, especially against lefties, because his on base is 39.1, I bat him second, and he does well for me there. All right, moving on to the duds. Starling Marte, good player, but I mean he's a double play machine. 28 chances against righties, 22 against lefties. He's got some wheels, but he's a bunting of a D. He's a hit and a run of a D. Doesn't handle the bat well. So I'm not saying he's not a decent player. He's probably better suited for a leadoff batter position, but terrible at the number 2 hole. It'd be absolutely a disaster there. He'd lead the league in double plays if he batted number 2. All right, Xander Bogaerts. I've seen this guy batting second for a lot of guys, different guys. I think he's a terrible number 2 hole hitter. His double play chances are 18 and 17, which are not great. They're not terrible, but they're definitely not great. Against right-handers, he's punch is only 1.4 home runs, so he's got a lot less power than you would think. He's got some punch against lefties, but even then, it's less than you would think. And his total bases against righties is only 38.9, which is pretty low too. So, to me, he's better suited down at the 6, 7 hole range, maybe 6 hole range than up higher in your lineup, especially against right-handers. Lefties, you can make an argument he's a pretty good, maybe 3 hole hitter. All right, Roy, Randy Arizarena. I still call him Roy, Rookie of the Year. He's a fun, interesting guy. Obviously hits lefties a lot better. Terrible number 2 hole hitter. I've seen him bat second for several guys. Maybe even lead him off. I think he's a decent leadoff hitter. He's got the wheels, especially lead him off against lefties. His on base gets up a little higher. But here's a guy 18 and 23 for double play chances, which is terrible. He's not great with the bat, bunting D, hit and run C, so can't really have a lot of other options in the 2 hole there for him. So I would lead him off against lefties, against righties. I'd bury him pretty deep. All right, next is Ty Vive la France. He does a lot of things, man. Ty France is he's a weapon. He's got a pretty good glove at first. He plays third and second. He's not complete liability. He's got some punch against right-handers, which is sneaky punch. People don't think of it. But if I've got him, I'm not batting him number 2. He's got 23 and 22 double play chances against lefties, righties. His total bases aren't great, 33.8 and 37.5 anyway. His power against righties is pretty good. He's a good clutch hitter. He's got that 1.7 against righties and 3.7 against lefties as far as clutch hit. So I would consider him, maybe even that number 5 hole is your big clutch hitter. And if not, I'd bury him pretty deep, maybe 6, 7, 8. All right, finally, it's Kyle Farmer. This guy gets a lot of action against left-handers. He's a platoon guy. Against lefties, I've seen guys batting him second. I think that's a complete waste. He's got 23 double play chances to get lefties, and his clutch is so good that he's just naturally a number 5 hitter. You got to put your best clutch hitter in the 5 hole. I always bat him 5th when I have him in my lineup, but I've seen guys bat him second, and I think it's a big mistake. You're wasting his clutch hitting potential, and he's a double play machine as well. So anytime you're talking about your best hitter, it starts with Aaron Judge. Again, sabermetrics will tell you this, he'd be a pretty good 2 hole hitter. I think it's a waste for him. I like batting him leadoff. It's still kind of that sabermetric style, but the guy's got such a high on base, and and he's got wheels on top of it. If I do that, I like to stack a little bit better hitters at 8 and 9 versus 7, so I kind of do that reverse. That way, maybe I got a couple ducks on the pond for Judge when he comes up in the leadoff spot, but I think he's a waste at number 2. Again, I think number 1 spot's better suited, and if not, probably 3rd. All right. If anybody who's played a tournament with me knows that I love Jordan Alvarez. I think I've drafted him more than anybody else that I've had. Jordan at the 2 hole, I think, is a waste. Again, first of all, his double plays are too high. He's got a 14 and a 17 on double play chances. So to me, that's too high. Second of all, that punch I think could do better at the 3 or 4 hole. I actually like to bat him third just because his on base is high to get an additional guy on base for my power hitter hitting fourth. So to me, he's a better number 3 hitter just because of that real high on base and high double plays. All right, Paul Goldschmidt. Out of all the guys that I wouldn't mind batting second, he'd be on top of the list. He's got low double plays at 4 and 6. He just absolutely crushes lefties. A little weaker against righties. Pretty good on base though. So again, out of all the guys that out of the best hitters, this is the guy that's maybe number 2 is the right spot for him. Most guys that I play against bat him third. But for me, I would argue this would be a good number 2 hole hitter. All right, my man Freddie Freeman. Wouldn't be a bad number 2 hole hitter, but it would waste his clutch hit, that 2-7 clutch hit. So he's such a good clutch hitter that I almost always bat Freddie when I have him in the 5 hole. Not only does he stroke hits, but you can really leverage that clutch hit. And then also, a lot of times your 4-hole hitter will make the last out, and then Freddie gets on base. He does have some wheels, so he can put a little bit of pressure on the defense. So to me, Freddie's a much better number 5-hole hitter. Here's a real good example of the difference between Strat and real life, right? Mike Trout, I think, would be a complete waste batting second. He is a power hitter, right? So I bat him fourth almost exclusively. His strikeouts are so high. His double plays aren't that high, but it's because his strikeouts are so high. So to me, he's a tailor-made power hitter, kind of like a Byron Buxton. I put him in the 4-hole. I'm happy with it. He's got a good glove, and I move on. All right, as you know, I'm a Phillies fan. Bryce Harper, love myself some Bryce. Not a 2-hole hitter. It's double plays at 23 each. You're not going to take advantage of that 1-7 clutch hit, which you need to take advantage of, or his punch. I like batting Bryce fifth or sixth. Fifth, ideally, again, very similar reasons as Freddie Freeman. He's got a few wheels, and you can take advantage of the clutch. East is Rafael Devers. The best spot for this guy is on your bench. I am not a fan. I think he stinks, so I wouldn't draft him. But if I was going to draft him, I would not bat him second. His double plays are high. His on base is low. His total bases are there. I don't know where you bat him. The bench for me, but if you're going to bat him, probably sixth. All right, that's a wrap for this week. As you can tell, I kind of prefer the traditional number 2-hole hitter. I think there's a difference between Stratomatic and real baseball, and one of the biggest ones is the clutch hitting, which I think for a lot of these sabermetric number 2 recommended hitters, I think it doesn't take advantage of their clutch hitting potential nearly as much rather than at the 5-hole. And then you have more information on the double plays. And the biggest thing for me, at least for a 2-hole hitter, is you want options, you want a bat handler, and you want to keep out of those double plays. So if I was Rob Thompson, I would not bat Nick Castellanos second. I think it was a big mistake, and he ran into 3 double plays on the first 4 pitches he saw. Not surprising. And I don't care if it's real baseball or Stratomatic baseball. That's terrible managing. So with that, I wanted to give a shout out to the photos of my dog Max. Hope you enjoyed those, and until next time.